and compare it to the May revise, the 90.8, if we use that as the number that this represents,
that one, thank you.
it would seem to have an increase in spending of roughly $7.4 billion from the governor's May revise. Is that approximately correct, or am I wrong in that number?
Let's see. Well, mine shows the total revised expenditures for 9-10 were $86 billion.
Okay.
And 10-11 in this budget would be 90.
90. So it's about a what?
Because we're making up for the $4 billion gap of no savings from 9-10 from all of the governor's solutions that didn't work last year.
Yeah.
That we have to make up for that.
There is a slight increase.
But only because we're making up for the savings that were not achieved in the 9-10 budget.
And that was stuff that we came aware of back in February that, for whatever reason, we didn't do too much to try to change it back then. We kind of waited.
Well, I don't think we waited. I think we did what we could. We did $1 billion. We sent several bills to the governor that he vetoed for $2 to $3 billion worth of savings that we sent to the governor that he vetoed. You know, and we did about $2 or $3 billion. Those are counted in both budgets, as far as I can tell.
Okay, now does this proposal also have that fire tax that the governor had originally proposed?
We did leave that in because the governor had wanted so badly. We understood that you took it out of yours. It was not in the Senate budget proposal. At conference, the governor insisted that he wanted to make one more try at convincing you guys to vote for it, and we gave him that opportunity by including it. Okay. It's a small amount. I think we could, again, I think we can do without it. I don't think we should be doing new taxes. I say just extend and leave the ones that we have in place. Okay.
Now, on that question there, regarding to new taxes and things, according to the Legislative Analyst's Office, the estimates on the tax swap, the increase in the state and federal taxes on the income groups and so forth, they're indicating, that would seem to indicate that a vote for this budget then would assume about a $1.8 billion tax increase on the primarily on the middle income class.
Well, it assumes a revenue increase, Senator. I'm not sure it's a tax increase to the individual taxpayer. And there are revised numbers that the LAO has given us off of the swap proposals that are perfectly available as choices to change and to deal with this gap. Like I said, it can be done by extending the existing PIT and the existing corporate tax situation, or it can be done by a reform proposal along those lines that allows us to take advantage of federal deductibility and possibly creates actually a better budget in the future by stimulating the economy and reducing the sales tax.
But this budget does assume
it assumes the revenue of $1.8 billion that proposal could do, or the extension of the PIT could do, or any number of other alternatives.
Sure, I'm talking all the same thing. Now, you also
well, those are trailer bills that are not before us. What's before us is the spending plan.
Well, that's the reason why I need to kind of understand, because you've arrived at a certain spending amount, and I'm just trying to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of this old-fashioned guys. I want you to show me the money.
No, I understand.
And so that's where I'm kind of coming from. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out how we get that extra money. So, and that's also one of the other proposals in this, if I just correct me if I'm wrong, but would assume a $1.2 billion in revenues by delaying the NOL.
That's right.
Or is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
current
also,
law.
Pardon?
That's current. I mean, that is the situation this year. That was a delay that was agreed to, I think, in 2007. Senator Crogdale, correct me if I'm wrong. So 2008.
But we are, I mean, that is part of the, how
yes,
we're making
extending that for another year, 2 years, is part of how you get there.
Okay. And as far as the state on the other $270 million I show here is a delay in the single sales factor election. Is that roughly the amount that would be attached to delaying that as well? So I'll vote for
probably about $200 or $300 million. I mean, all of those are delayed. All of the corporate tax breaks, which include those which are, frankly, up to the voters in November. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that if it's up for the voters to possibly repeal them, that we would count on them as revenue in the next year or as the breaks. I mean, why not delay and allow the voters to make their choice?
Okay, and then also the vote on this budget then also would assume $315 million in tax increases due to the delay of business credits within a unitary tax group.
Whatever all of that group of tax credits were, that were the price of some very small temporary, these were permanent tax cuts that were your price for temporary increases in 2009, all of them, that would take effect in January 11 would be delayed, not repealed, under this scenario.